Nammo Yidafa, good morning. Thank you for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The fifth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I vow to cultivate good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will ingest only items that preserve peace, well-being, and joy in my body, in my consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family and society. I'm determined not to use alcohol or any other items that contain toxins, such as certain TV programs, magazines, books, films, and conversations. I'm aware that to damage my body or my consciousness with these poisons is to betray my ancestors, my parents, my society, and future generations. I will work to transform violence, fear, anger, and confusion in myself and in society by practicing a diet for myself and for society. I understand that a proper diet is crucial for self-transformation and the transformation of society. We're continuing to read Ajahn Chah's book, Bodhinyana, and we're reading the Dhamma talk, Living with the Cobra. When you leave here, you should practice bringing everything back to your own mind. Look at your mind with this mindfulness and clear comprehension, and develop this wisdom. With these three conditions, there will arise a letting go. You'll know the constant arising and passing away of all phenomena. You should know that that which is arising and passing away is only the activity of mind. When something arises, it passes away and is followed by further arising and passing away. In the way of Dhamma, we call this arising and passing away birth and death. And this is everything. This is all there is. When suffering has arisen, it passes away. And when it has passed away, suffering rises again. That's just suffering arising and passing away. When you see this much, you'll be able to know constantly this arising and passing away. And when your knowing is constant, you'll see that this is really all there is. Everything is just birth and death. It's not as if there's anything which carries on. There's just this arising and passing away as it is. That's all. This kind of seeing will give rise to a tranquil feeling of dispassion towards the world. Such a feeling arises when we see that actually there is nothing worth wanting. There is only a rising and passing away, a being born followed by a dying. This is when the mind arrives at letting go, letting everything go according to its own nature. Things arise and pass away in our mind, and we know. When our happiness arises, we know. When dissatisfaction arises, we know. And this knowing happiness means that we don't identify with it as being ours. And likewise with dissatisfaction and unhappiness, we don't identify with them as being ours. When we no longer identify with and cling to happiness and suffering, we are simply left with the natural way of things. So we say that mental activity is like the deadly poisonous cobra. If we don't interfere with the cobra, it simply goes its own way. Even though it may be extremely poisonous, we're not affected by it. We don't go near it or take hold of it, and it doesn't bite us. The cobra does what is natural for a cobra to do. That's the way it is. If you are clever, you'll leave it alone, and so let be that which is good. You also let be that which is not good. So let it be according to its own nature. Let be your liking and your disliking, the same way as you don't interfere with the cobra. So, one who is intelligent will have this kind of attitude towards the various moods that arise in the mind. When goodness arises, we let it be good, but we know also, we understand its nature. And 2, we let be the not good. We let it be according to its nature. We don't take hold of it because we don't want anything. We don't want evil, neither do we want good. We want neither we want neither heaviness nor lightness, happiness nor suffering. When in this way our wanting is at an end, peace is firmly established. When we have this kind of peace established in our minds, we can depend on it. This peace, we say, has arisen out of confusion. Confusion has ended. The Buddha called the attainment of final enlightenment an extinguishing, in the same way that fire is extinguished. We extinguish fire at the place at which it appears. Wherever it is hot, that's where we can make it cool. And so it is with enlightenment. Nibbana is found in samsara. Enlightenment and illusion, samsara, exist in the same place, just as do hot and cold. It's hot where it was cold, and cold where it was hot. When heat arises, the coolness disappears, and when there's coolness, there's no more heat. In this way, Nibbana and samsara are the same. We are told to put an end to samsara, which means to stop the ever-turning cycle of confusion. This putting an end to confusion is extinguishing the fire. When external fire is extinguished, there is coolness. When the internal fires of sensual craving, aversion, and delusion are put out, then this is coolness also. This is the nature of enlightenment. It's the extinguishing of fire, the cooling of that which was hot. This is peace. This is the end of samsara, the cycle of birth and death. When you arrive at enlightenment, this is how it is. It's an ending of the ever-turning and ever-changing, an ending of greed, aversion, and delusion in our minds. We talk about it in terms of happiness because this is how worldly people understand the ideal to be. But in reality, it has gone beyond. It is beyond both happiness and suffering. It is perfect peace. So as you go, you should take this teaching which I have given you and contemplate it carefully. Your stay here hasn't been easy, and I've had little opportunity to give you instruction, but in this time you have been able to study the real meaning of our practice. May this practice lead you to happiness. May it help you grow in truth. May you be freed from the suffering of birth and death. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this morning.